So this is programming the PLC.
Yep.
Cool.
So,
Ping.
yep. 1 and 2 wants to say 0. Nice. Yep. If you go to advanced setting, checkbox on the bottom left. Again, set to static. So you can add root. It's the bottom button towards the right.
We should set the static.
The root name and the root target root and the root route are both set to static. Sometimes they're not, so I just wanted to make sure they were. Otherwise, it's going to cause me problems. So add root.
So when you say the C static, Jesus, okay, sorry.
So,
Embarrassing.
and you can do it by host name or IP address. I think it will have the same for you. The default password for the administrator as all the backoff.coms is 1. You can change it. So you can change it if you want to. Okay, so now if you close that out, you should hopefully see a root that's green. Yep. Okay, but it's not green.
Connection failed.
Connection failed. Try doing that search Ethernet again. And try doing it by IP address instead of by host name. There's a checkbox halfway down on the left. There you go. And add root now. 1. Okay. Close. Okay, that connected. So now it's asking you where do you want to pull the source code from. Tier 2. As a folder. Okay. What's going on here?
Then you close the solution.
No, this is in bed. Don't save it. Oh, we probably didn't change the target, maybe? I don't know.
Oh wait, no. Just put.
No, let's see.
Uh,
It might have pulled something. I think it opened the project on your local PC, not the target. So if we go back. So if you go back to where you can see set the system target, open project from target, sure. You'll open project from targets. And then select that, yeah, I think we have local selected instead. Now tell it what folder you want it to be in. That's just a watch window. You can see that that's the watch window I had watching some variables. But there is your PLC code. So the POUs and all that stuff, that's where all the code is. The GVLs are the global variable lists. DUTs are data types. So if you want to create your own structures and things like that, or enums, that's what's useful. That's it. There's the code. It starts in main.prg or main program. Yep, there you go. So this is the main control loop that gets called cyclically, and everything spirals out from there. All the sub functions. So,
Where's the loop?
this just gets called cyclically.
Right here? This?
No.
Everything?
That whole thing.
This whole thing does?
The way PLCs work is they have one core function that gets called over and over.
Okay. Like an event loop is not a pattern, but Okay, cool.
So all this code is written in C++, or?
No, this
No,
is
so-
structured text.
Yep, so
Oh, structured text.
I do structured text and ladder logic. So if you open something like under the component control, there's some very simple logic ladder for like chip blast control if you open that. Oop, this one. So, a one-line ladder logic for when we allow the chip blast to turn on.
What the hell?
What?
What does this mean?
Ladder logic, it's a visual programming language that's been around PLCs for
Long time, yeah.
a long time. So if you want to log in and see real time what's going on, you can do that by logging in. I don't know where the login button is on Visual Studio. It should be a little green button. No, it looks like a green arrow.
Is it? No.
Attach?
No,
What'd you say you want to do? Log in?
log into the PLC. It's usually to the right of that. So-
Maybe you need to include more things in the
Yeah,
toolbar.
the toolbar. Maybe there's some stuff hiding. Here you go. Twin Cats. Try Twin Cat PLC.
Visualization.
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you see the green arrow there? That's login. It's asking you if you want to create a port for you to be able to see what's going on with the PLC. Say yes. That's fine. Confirm the changes.
That was the thing. Because we just logged in. It just like.
Yeah, because we downloaded some code, it flipped back on, and I'll push new code. But whenever you log in with download, it's not in run mode anymore, so you have to hit that green button to turn it back in run mode. And now you can see the state. So in ladder logic, it shows you the state of each one of those contacts, true or false. And then in structured text, if you view like the main.prg.
Yeah.
You can see the state of all of those function blocks and their variables. If you hit the little plus sign, you can see true and false. And you can change their values and play around in there, but I would suggest
Not.
as you're learning this stuff and you're getting used to the PLC that you just do stuff on your local PC, send a custom PLC project to your local PC test, make sure you understand what's going on.
Okay.
And then you can throw stuff in here because all of that code is what is keeping the robot safe and controlling everything.
Yes.
So the easiest thing to do, I will send you a final PLC that I send to you. In general, just to kind of do a quick flyover, the global variable lists. So if you go to something like, I tried to name them so they'd be easy for you guys to understand.
Yeah.
From robot are the signals coming from the robot. So you can see there's some spare bits in there if you guys need to just piggyback off that stuff.
Okay.
But that's the
Cool.
state of things coming from the robot, going to the robot.
Where do you connect EtherCAT to this stuff down here in mappings?
Yeah, so the general way, if you log out of the PLC by hitting the red, not the stop button, but the one next to it, that'll take you offline. So we don't see this, and then we can see the code in a different way. So then if you go to the global variable lists and you open up from robot, so you can see the way I define that at percentage I, that is, you're delegating it as being an address that you can map an input to.
Okay.
So once you build the program there, you can come down to the EtherCAT devices under EtherCAT master, and you can see that's everything there. So the EK1100 is the I/O block. On the end of that is the bridge, the EL6695 bridge, one up from where you're at.
Okay.
So if you do a drop down on that and go to inputs, that's all the the data transfer
From the robot.
to and from the robot is that input and output. So if you click on them, and you can add to that specifically for the bridge. You know, if something like the digital input, the EL1018 digital input. If you click on that, that's a static digital input module. So if you click down, there's 8 channels of digital inputs, and you can map those to different bits. You'll see. But essentially, if you double click on like a robot state, like anything under the IO, or it's normally double click, but once we're here, you can see this is linked to, and then it's linked to that global variable from robot
states. Okay.
That's how you map field bus to a variable in your robot state, which is of type, a custom type that is a word worth of it, and that's an easy way that if you want to name certain bits but map them as words, just a little bit of a time saver. So I'm sure you'll dig through the code and see how I write it. I write based on years of experience doing it, but a small project like this isn't the cleanest code.
Yep, that's fine.
But
This is a relatively small project.
Yeah, I mean, you've got, well, comparatively speaking, you've got 16 inputs, I don't know, you've got somewhere in the neighborhood of like 20 IO, 25 IO, there's projects that have the typical old robot, filling robot that we have
hundreds.
Yeah, 250 plus IO signals. So it gets a little bit more structured whenever you're dealing with that much overhead here. But anyway, if you go to, everything kind of starts in the global variables list. That's where all your IO is coming in from. So if you're ever worried about something, you can go to from robot, go to from robot. That's what's coming. The signal's coming from the robot to the PLC.
Yeah.
You can right click on any of those and cross-find all references, global, or find all references, right? Those ones are a little bit trickier, and then anything that's in a structure, you have to then go to the structure, and then you can cross-reference the bits themselves.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
So the cross-referencing makes it pretty easy to find where things are being read and written to in the code.
The thing I was trying to understand, so one, does this, so I have to basically edit this config to implement the stuff I want to implement.
You have to layer your stuff on top of everything that's running.
Okay. So when I was doing this earlier, like on my local, I would do this activate configuration thing.
Yeah.
Is
That is signifying that you've made a hardware change, like to the I/O. I'm not sure how it reacts with the C++ modules. You may have to activate a configuration, but if you're just changing PLC code, whenever you log into the PLC, it'll recognize that your code doesn't match, and it'll prompt you to do a couple of things. Log in.
Okay, just so you know, I've gotten none of this from backup people.
Okay.
Yeah, but 0.
So it'll prompt you with a few things. So
Okay.
this is kind of all typical PLC stuff, so they might just assume you know it.
Okay.
But I'm trying to figure out a way that we can, I'll blow it away this evening whenever I'm checking anything. So go to just like the root POUs, right click, add POU. So this is what we can do. I don't know. Let's do a program, not a function block, and we can do it in structured text if you want to. Okay. So that added. Yep. Delete me. So now you can say create variables there. So I don't know. Do a bool. So it's whatever. It's actually backwards. It's like variable name semicolon. No, colon bool. And then then a semicolon after. There you go. Okay, so that you can save that then, but we're not calling that function because it's not ever being called from the cyclic function main or any of its. So at the very end, you can toss in a delete, call it a delete.
Down here or up here?
You don't. So a program you don't have to instantiate. A function block you do have to instantiate to then be able to call it.
Okay.
Since this is of a type program, you can just call it without instantiating it. So just
So this is like instantiation.
yeah, this is
the
variable
loop.
creation, and then this is the code, and just the main dot program is what's being called cyclically. Yep. So now delete me will be called. So if you log in now, it should say, okay, I've detected. These are your options. Generally, you always want to update the boot application because that's saying you're updating whatever's going to start next time you power on, which you want your latest code to start. Log in with online change. That will attempt to look at the changes you've made and just log in the logic changes, or just load the logic changes without stopping the PLC from running.
Oh, so you can do hot changes.
You can do hot changes. The caveat being there are things that prevent hot changes, which are memory restructuring actions. So if you've added variables or deleted variables, you have to do a download. If you have just changed logic, then you can log in with an online change. Log in without any change is like, oh shit, I don't even know I made a mistake, but I want to view something. You can log in without any change, and if your code is similar enough, you can then view things, but in general, you shouldn't. I don't know. Log in without any change sometimes won't let you log in,
Okay.
but sometimes it will, and it'll let you view the code that's on there
And when
to look at state.
And when I do log in with online change, what was download one again?
So so log in with online change is attempt to not stop the PLC and load the changes.
Yeah.
Log in with download is download the entire new project. It's not the same as activate configuration. It's just downloading the PLC
Stuff.
code
Yep.
and pushing the entire thing to it. So that's required if you make a change.
Okay, got it.
But it requires the PLC to go to stop mode,
Yeah.
load, and then you have to manually turn it back on. So we can try logging with an online change. I think your things will be okay here. We'll see if it errors out.
The thing I was gonna say is like,
So now you can see it's happy.
okay.
It didn't complain about that.
Yeah, but what has occurred is we've mutated what's on there, right?
On the PLC?
I mean,
Yeah.
the code has been updated. Yes.
Okay,
The code has
so-
been updated, but it shouldn't affect anything as long as your memory addressing hasn't changed.
Where is the source of truth? If I want to version control this.
Text version control it.
Okay, so just straight up like Git or whatever.
There should be a way. I think the ladder logic is a little tricky, but Beckhoff should have a way that you can export the ladder logic as text file as well.
Okay.
So you can read about storing TwinCat projects as text
Okay.
for repository. Yeah.
Did you get a chance to test the,
Accelerometer?
yeah.
Yep, we can do that. We can hit it, but
Okay.
let's delete the delete me and then download, and I'll show you the difference. So you
Wait,
can't.
sorry,
Yep,
log
you
out.
gotta log out, and then you can make the change. And then if you push that code by logging in,
You want me to delete it from here?
no, because I'll push the project after you guys leave tonight, just to be sure I have it. So
Log in.
now log in with download. That stopped the
Yep.
PLC.
Heard it, yeah.
You're logging in, and it's not in run mode. So that's the difference.
Okay.
Hot change versus stop. And
So now
if you do that while the robot's running, it'll e-stop the robot.
Okay. So now we should be able to see. Wait, this is